ladies and gentlemen, I am so proud to tell you that Pittsburgh cruised by Clemson and Neuheisel is officially off the schneid. Here he is, free at last, free at last, free at last.
Oh, my. No one was more joyful in watching Kenny Pickett having that kind of day. And by the way, the game started up 7-0 Pitt. I mean, 7-0 Clemson. And I'm like, no, not today.
Where are we on Cincinnati? I believe it was a couple of weeks ago that I posed to you the Cincinnati conundrum. And I think you said something along the lines of, Mitch, I don't think an undefeated Cincinnati team was going to make the Final Four. They're sitting there. They barely beat, what was it, Navy this past weekend. And they're sitting undefeated. They're sitting number 2 in some of the polls, I guess. Are you holding on to that belief that Cincinnati, should they win them all, will not be in the Final Four?
I am holding on to that belief. They're being helped by Notre Dame. Notre Dame continues to impress. But you can see Ohio State rounding into form. You can see Oregon. That was an impressive win for Oregon to go down to the Rose Bowl and win as an underdog. You can see Michigan State. That game's going to be a big one this weekend. The winner of that's going to be hot.
Yep.
They might jump in front of Cincinnati at some point.
Right.
I believe this. I'm going to make this prediction.
Okay.
The committee in their first go-round, assuming that Cincinnati is undefeated still, will make the Cincinnati Bearcats their number 4 team. They'll do so in their own logic, individually. I'm not calling anybody out, no conspiracy theory. I'm just saying in their own logic, they'll say, I'm going to put them in position so it doesn't look as if I'm faulting them for being a group of 5 program, but I'm going to not put them in such a place that I'm locked into it. I believe the Bearcats will be at 4, and then it will be the eye test, which is, at the end of the day, the system we've chosen, and for better or worse. Right now, Mitch, Ohio State is ranked ahead of Oregon. Ohio State lost to Oregon in Columbus. We have chosen a system that at a 12-1 Ohio State as a Big Ten champ and a 12-1 Oregon Duck team as a Pac-12 champ, if both get there, Ohio State will be in and Oregon will probably be out. And that is the system in which we've chosen. It's no one's fault, but we don't earn it here. We let our eyes tell us.
There are 2 major job openings in college football. There'll probably be a handful more. I'm assuming that Neuheisel is not a top candidate at either one of these, although I'd pay to see him as the head coach of USC, but that's a story for another day. Let's assume for a sec, because I've been thinking about this week, about the LSU job opening and the USC job opening. And what that would have been like when I was a kid, when you and I were kids. You're a little older than me, but when we were kids, you would have laughed at the LSU opening, and the USC opening would obviously been everything, would have been on everybody's minds. Now we're in 2021. Let's assume, take yourself out of your UCLA skin and your Pac-12 roots. And let's say you grew up, Rick Neuheisel, in Chicago, Illinois. And let's say you were the quarterback one time for Northwestern, although we know you couldn't have ever been the quarterback of Northwestern because you academically would never have been able to fit at Northwestern.
So say you.
Okay. So you have no ties to the SEC. You have no ties to USC or the Pac-12, and you are the hot commodity. You're the hot coaching prospect, and both schools want you. And they both offer you the same package today in 2021. Which is the better job? Which job would you want from Chicago, Illinois?
Well, it's easy for me to answer this question because a man back in 2000 did answer it. His name was Nick Saban. Now, the SC job was not open at the time, but Nick Saban left Michigan State to take LSU. He did it because he knew LSU was the only Power 5 school in the state. He knew what kind of defensive line talent existed in that great state of Louisiana. And he knew that defensive line play was the gold bullion of college football talent.
Right.
There isn't enough of it.
Right.
It's you just so if you're going to have a team that's going to be built on defense, which was his trade, you needed defensive linemen, and that's why he went there. What he didn't have to deal with was a juggernaut at Alabama. And whoever takes the LSU job this time has to realize I have to go through Tuscaloosa and Nick Saban to get to the promised land, which is a very difficult thing to do, which is why I still say USC, when things are right and the president and the athletic director and the head coach are all in alignment and understand the mission and the resources will come in and the fan base will return. That's the best job because there is no Alabama in the Pac-12 right now. There is no dominant team. You are the dominant team. You've just been sleeping, and that's why the Pac-12 is sleeping. You want to get things jump-started. George Kliavkoff, Mike Bone, President Carol Folt, they need a coach to get in there that understands how to do it. And in this day and age, without with the new advent of NIL and the opportunities that are abound in Los Angeles, the USC job with the transfer portal can get fixed presto. And I still say the USC job has the potential and a very quick potential to be back amongst the very, very best.
Okay, after listening to those previous 2 minutes, and as eloquent you were with the answer to that question, I like to rescind my earlier remark. I think maybe you would have been on the wait list at Northwestern. So, oh, dear. Oh, gosh. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our time together for this week on Mitch Unfiltered. And boy,
and I'm hot, Mitchie. I'm hot. I'm rolling hot dice. Get him back down here.
He threw 6 snake eyes in a row and then found a way somehow to get some people some money on the 7th roll of the dice. So now the question is, as he turned the corner, is this the beginning of an unbelievable run to the finish line with good picks in bowl games and good picks in national championship semifinals and final? Are we going to look back to the first 6 weeks of this season in a month or 2 months' time and say, you remember, it almost feels like 2 years ago when you were cold? I think this might be the beginning of something big, Rick Neuheisel.
We are going to begin a streak that they'll be talking about for years to come.
Okay.
Let me just say this. I told you I like Wisconsin. I think it's eerie that they've got them a 3-point pick at home over Iowa, but I think they're right, and I think Wisconsin will win that game, but that's not my pick.
Okay.
But I am going to stay in the Big Ten, and you know how painful it is, given my history with the great Jim Harbaugh. You know how painful it is for me to take Big Blue over their little brother. What do you think about that, Ricky? I am taking the Wolverines. I think they're giving 3.5 or 4.
3.5.
I'm taking the Wolverines and Corum and Haskins and a really stingy defense and an error-free offense against, I think, an overmatched Spartan team. So I'm going to take the Wolverines.